everyone, I am Tales of the Rim, and with me today is Rick. We are doing a podcast about his mod, Fallout Collaboration Project, which is pretty much a big project. It encompasses a bunch of mods from the Fallout universe. Rick, you just want to do a quick introduction for us?
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Rick, and I head the Fallout Collaboration Project, among some other things, and just here to hang out and answer some questions that I probably should have done a long time ago.
So, how did you get started with the Fallout Collaboration Project?
So it actually started with a commission in April of this year. I saw the FCP and thought it was 100% dead, and thought there was no going back. It's dead. Let's start over. I don't know how to do anything. We're going to commission about 12 different artists and pick one that I like. It definitely went up from there. I got introduced to the FCP by Taranchuk, which, been in any RimWorld modding community, you know who he is. He's the king of all RimWorld modding, and I slowly, pushed the Rick agenda into the FCP and just eventually became the last member alive, just like a battle royale, basically. Last person there.
Last one surviving.
Yeah.
So, at what point did you become, like, kind of the leader of it? Like, was that, like, a couple months in? Was it kind of immediately?
No, I did absolutely nothing with the project other than throw money at it for a few months. And then I did advertising and advertising and advertising and worked just to become a member of staff. And then after that, I went and started doing all the XML for it and releasing simple mods, which I believe are taken off the workshop as of now because they were super bad and super terrible. But I started doing simple stuff like that and eventually just kept releasing stuff. I think I had told Ramrod I have about 15 to 20 mods ready to go. And he just instantly made me moderator at that point and started making me head of all the teams and leading art. So specifically I was to find new artists and art acquisition and of course pay for them and try to find donators and stuff like that.
So was it difficult to get into? Like, did you have a hard time getting into it, or was it just like, hey, this is like what I want to do, and then you just kind of like rose the ranks in that sense?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I have we got lucky, right? The founder, Ramrod, and I have a very similar plan on how we want to execute things and how things need to be done and what needs to be done versus what wants to be done. If you look at the FCP before I came in, there were 2 mods over the span of a year, almost 2 years. They were some of the best mods in the workshop, like robots and ghouls were 2 of the best, mods out there for Fallout stuff, but it wasn't what I wanted at all. And for those who have at least talked to me, I don't sleep a whole lot, so I tend to do a lot of work, and I tend to throw a lot of money at projects that I shouldn't be throwing at projects. So I just kind of started going through with Ramrod Mind's plan, and eventually we got to a point where we're thinking the same thing. There's no need to ask one another what we're doing or how we're doing it. We're just going to do it. And I slowly just kind of ricked my way over and just said, this is what we're doing. I'm not going to have any of it. Were there things that we cut along the way? Like, yeah, like if you notice, there's a very definitive art quality in a lot of the mods that are labeled FCP. I do select artists typically by hand, and we have had a lot of donations of art, and you'll see those artists have their own mods typically. There are a few I still have to add, but a lot of them, they fit really well. So Icing is our on-staff artist. He's amazing, and he needs to continue to work. But we also have people who I can find matches for him. Like, I think Cryptobon does good matching for his weapons. Dan does great matching for apparel. Odds also was a great choice for the Chinese remnants. We're finding people who can match, because I'm not having a mod like, if y'all know Project Fallout, great idea, terrible execution in art. I want everything to be conformed, which means, sadly, we've redone every single art asset that was placed for the FCP when I joined. There's not a single original art asset left.
And who is doing those art assets? Are those people still in the community, or are they gone?
They're still in the community. They're still around, and they've changed styles a lot since then. It would be Arisher did all of the art, and Ramrod did all the coding. So they were a 2-man team going hour by hour, just getting as much art and as much code done as they could. Airshir's art is fantastic, but it's dated. So if you played RimWorld 2.5 years ago, black lines and inner black lines were, the fad. Right now they're not. So we had to swap directions and redo all of that to be a point where it's a bit more RimWorldy and cartoony, but still have that Fallout characteristic, right?
Yeah. So with switching art all the time, is there ever like this is it, or do you think like going forward that will change a lot more? Like maybe you might change to a different art style down the road, or is there a couple things where you're kind of iffy on right now?
Not so much. So right now, I like where we're at. It's a good mix of, cartoony and Fallout and that cutesiness of RimWorld. I don't think we're going to change at this point. I know you've seen part of the art asset folder, and it was too big to even load just one part of the apparels into RimWorld or into Discord. I couldn't even send it to you through that or through email. We had to do a Google Drive. So
yeah,
I don't think there's any way we could possibly change styles at this point. We have that hard shading, cartoony style, and that's how it's going to be. Will we add more onto it? Yes. Like, will CE get attachments and stuff eventually? Yes. I plan on adding everything Fallout, which means Fallout 4's attachment system will be a thing, which means we're going to have to shift our art style slightly, but not completely.
So are you planning on doing like every Fallout game but have its own Project Fallout, for instance, that kind of idea, but like are you going to do like a Fallout 3 style then a Fallout 4 style, or is it all just going to be like Fallout, that's it? Like what's your plan with integrating that?
With that, the main plan, of course, is a complete overhaul of encompassing all, I believe there's eight games that we're focusing on a Fallout. There's Fallout 1, 2, Tactics, Brotherhood of Steel. We have things from Van Buren, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, and then even little propaganda posters and stuff. So ideally, it's going to be complete overhaul, and then going backwards to forward, complete overhaul, and then there's parts. So we have a Fallout 3 overhaul, Fallout New Vegas overhaul, Fallout 1 and 2, and then Brotherhood of Steel overhaul, all together combined into one. And then we go further from that. We have packs, which are the complete New Vegas weapon pack, the complete New Vegas armor pack, and then standalones, which is where we're at right now. The reason we're doing standalones first and things are as they are, it's because of the scope of the mod. Like I tend to not rely on the standalones having a minimum value of items. So I'll put whatever, we deem necessary into a standalone. If you look, most of the standalones have a good amount of Ramrod and I call commissioned value in it, which is, say, roughly one set of apparel costs $20, one weapon costs $5. Roughly, each mod has $20 to $50 in it. And that's kind of what we're looking at.
And is that future projection cost, or is that like right now with the teasers?
It's right now with the teasers. So right now, if we're looking at every apparel set, everything but Icing's work has been commissioned out, which means almost everything but the Enclave stuff was commissioned or art that I did myself. There's some mixed in there, and not a whole lot, but that's roughly $20 to $40 per apparel, and then that's not including the 13 mods I have on standby right now to go towards.
When you say per apparel, do you mean like each piece, or do you mean like each pack?
Each. So if we're saying per apparel, I mean like if you get the Fallout New Vegas, NCR Trooper armor, that Trooper armor for every body type, just that one armor. So if you look at the NCR teaser mod, there are a total of 473 sprites in there, which means that's including all the sides and stuff. So I think there's 8 different combinations we can do. I know roughly it was around almost $400 just for that pack for the apparel.
Wow.
So it's been fun stuff like that. And moving forward, we're trying to get less of that and more of on-staff artists and team members that can match our style. I've turned away quite a few people who can't match the style. And that's just because consistency and trying to keep everything together, we just can't do it unless we all stick together using the same thing.
Yeah, because you got to have consistency as well. So on the topic of that, was that one your most expensive mod, like the $400 one, or is there like one that tops that?
There's a few things we're doing right now that probably tops that. Just coding and texture-wise, that's the biggest one so far. That's the biggest single check or like a PayPal I've had to send out, and that was just the NCR. Like I still have quite a few things we're doing. I know we talked about vehicles a little bit. My estimation right now for vehicles for a budget within the next month is probably around $200. And I'm hoping, we can get a good portion of that. And I do try to match donations, whatever we get. So right now the project's raised around, okay, and when I say the project, I need to specify I handle the FCP, the Fallout collab. I don't handle Z levels directly. I do oversee parts of it, but I do not handle any of that. The coder Taranchuk actually does almost all of that himself. That project's financials reflects differently than this project. Think of it like a project within a project. So just the FCP from user donations on Ko-fi and little commissions we've had there has gotten around $1,300 to date. In my little book, I'm at $1,900 I've spent. Airshire's at $300, and Ramrod is at $2,200, I believe, or something around there.
Wow.
So it's not a small mod by any means, and the stuff that we've released has just scratched the surface. Like I know, still going on apparels. I've just finished last week all of the power armors, the paint jobs that Django did a wonderful base power armor for the XO1, T45, T60, and T51, and I did all the power armor paint jobs for everything in Fallout 4 for every single one of them. So that's another 40 plus power armors we can add now.
Wow. So like each one of those is like a skin for that power armor? Or
it's a skin and it adds, yeah, so it's ideally you'll be able to go up to the power armor stand and change your paint job. Your paint job will affect the stats of your armor and the headif that it gives you.
So kind of like in the game.
Exactly like in the game.
So on the topic of power armor, it's kind of interesting how you're going to implement that. So like, are you planning to make it like so it's like something you enter, or is it going to be like a body type thing? Like, what's your idea with that?
So actually, Odds just brought up that you plan on using the vehicle framework for power armor. Ideally, I would love to. I really, really would love to. It's a great idea, and it makes sense because in the Fallout universe and the later ones, it's a mobile piece of equipment. It's a vehicle that you step into and you control, you drive. Now, how does that work with the earlier Fallouts? Because it's not necessarily a vehicle. Now, this is where I've taken liberties and I've made final decisions on how we're going to do it. If you've ever played, the full spectrum of the Fallout universe, there's, some power armor is fueled, some power armor needs training, and certain things don't need training, don't need fuel, but it makes you, slower or it's worse as power armor. We're going to implement all of that, right? So there will be a power armor frame that you can use. There will be a power armor stand that you can, repair your power armor at, because ideally it won't ever break completely. You just have to repair it. You will be able to fuel it and require training for it to be used to its max usefulness. And whenever Phil's vehicle framework comes out, I'd like you to be able to enter it like a vehicle. How we're going to do that, I've yet to decide. But when it gets there, I'm sure it'll be great. Like, as of now, if anyone's played with our power armors, you'll notice something different is that you only need one size of power armor. It all comes in one standard size. Power armor does not conform to your body. It's, you're going to conform to the inside of the power armor to use it.
That's one thing that really bugged me about like past Fallout mods, like maybe in like 1.1, 1.2, is that it changed for your body type. So when you sent out a squad, they would all be like, you'd have a fat power armor and a skinny power armor. It just like didn't look right.
Yeah, I absolutely hated that, and that's probably the thing. I raised hell about that for a good while, since right when I joined, because the armor I commissioned was originally power armor, I told them only make the Hulk body type. It doesn't make sense for power armor to be thin. It doesn't make sense for it to have curves for females. It doesn't make sense for it to have curves for fat. It just makes sense for Hulk. And since that was the very first thing I commissioned, I was torn on it, and I wanted to bring it in to the FCP and my idea with that. And I finally just, got Terran to approve it and Ramrod to approve it, and we made that a thing. So, and it's surprisingly easy. So I'm glad we were able to do that so far.
So one thing that kind of sparked me there was your mention of like fueling the power armor. So like, can you like go into that a little bit? Like your plan, like how would you implement that?
Sure. So right now you can fuel armor already with royalty, right? With the jump packs. The idea is to, instead of fuel the jump pack, to fuel the armor, which the armors from the Fallout 4 series that I'll be releasing does have a jetpack for each one as well. But the idea is you're fueling your armor in order for it to give you an increased headif that increases your speed, carry capacity, strength, and increases the armor's durability. So how will that all function? Again, just like refueling, any piece of armor, just using a comp for refuelable. Pretty simple.
So
We'll have like fusion cores and make a new fuel type. How we're going to find these fusion cores is still kind of a secret because I think Ramrod still wants to have something special for that.
okay, and so you were talking about the approval process. So like, what happens when like you have an idea for a mod or you want to get something processed? Like, what kind of steps does that have to go through?
So realistically, right now, none. It's typically what I say goes. There is Ramrod is the only person I report to and ask questions for, and that's only when I feel we need to do something outside of our comfort. And something like that would be the vehicle framework. It's outside of my comfort zone on how we would, do that. Or something like when we first added Red Scare to the FCP. That was, they did things completely different to where we were doing things. So it's kind of outside of my spectrum on what we need to do and how we can get things. And the only person I ever get really to do my C# is Terran. The FCP and him are almost one and the same when it comes to C#. So if he says he can't do it or he won't do it, we're not doing it. That's the end of story. Same thing with Ramrod. If Ramrod says, he doesn't believe we should move that way and I can't sway him, we're not doing it. We're just going to cut it there. It's basically the three of us figuring out how we can do something. So that's me and Taryn. And then Ramrod and I figuring out if it fits.
And with that fitting, like, is that just you guys deciding, or is there another step to that?
It's just us, throwing messages back and forth. And if I disagree, I'll keep disagreeing until I can get something out of it. And I just will keep on pushing him until we can find a way around it. But him and I we're almost constantly on the same page. I don't think there's been anything we've disagreed on so far. But typically, almost all things we have a council that's, I think, mainly abandoned as of right now, or is only commissioners. So people who require commissions. But if they do have any questions, it typically goes through me and or Ramrod.
So if someone wanted to become an artist for you, how would they go about doing that? Do they just contact you through Discord, kind of show you what they can do?
Yeah, that's how we've been doing it. The most recent one I've added is H&R Black and Decker, I believe, who he's not even directly doing stuff for the main FCP core. He's doing Fallout Miami animals and stuff. He wanted to do irradiated flamingos.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, it sounded awesome to me, and I didn't even know what his art style was. And I was like, yeah, shoot me a message, send me an idea. He matches Icing's animals pretty freaking well. So he was an immediate, yes, you're allowed in, we're doing it. You're in the club. Let's go.
You're in the boys club.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you can match that style that we have and you don't want money, you're in. Let's go. Let's talk.
So sorry to jump back a little bit here, but you mentioned Red Scare like probably a minute and a half ago. I know we talked about this before, but do you just want to mention what happened with Red Scare when you guys released that?
Oh, so the fun stuff. If y'all don't know, Red Scare was taken off of Steam because of the name, because of our audience in China, I guess, did not agree with the naming conventions of it and thought that it was against better judgment, which there are, it's set in a Fallout universe, right? So we have to kind of look back at that. I know Odds went through it as well as Chismar. Red Scare is something that happened in the real world, but it's also a big plan on Fallout, right? Like the communist faction, the fear of communism, the fear of that red menace is there, and we wanted to enforce that. And Steam did not. So we had to fight with some Steam moderators to get it put back up, which is why the Red Scare page looks a little bit wonky sometimes, and you can't once in a while. But yeah, that was a fun little dispute that I will fight tooth and nail for if any one of our mods gets taken down like that. And then I know there was Odds just mentioned there was some numbers, some conspiracy theorists why it was taken down. One of the reasons was 2 Chinese numbers were put together, and someone went through the process in their magnificent brain of brains, thinking that we were, going against them and trying to mention Tiananmen Square. They were 2 random numbers, randomly, completely, accidentally placed next to each other. We had no idea what they meant. The artist didn't know. He just put 2 numbers together because they looked nice. And this person in their head did some mathematical, equations and trigonometry, add a bunch of things up, and said we were referencing Tiananmen Square.
And just for those who don't know, can you give a quick, brief description of what happened there?
Yeah, Tiananmen Square was not a happy time. If y'all don't know, a big, if not the biggest, I guess, protests, if you want to call it, happened there, and it ended up being a massacre, basically, or a what we would call basically our Boston Massacre, right? If you're in the U.S., where China just really cracked down on student demonstrations in the Tiananmen Square with troops and tanks and assault rifles. And this person thought our mod was trying to reference that, and that it was not set in the Fallout universe at all, and that we didn't, they didn't read what Fallout meant. And a bulk of this was them not reading, and them saying it's okay that they didn't read it because we mentioned China, which we mentioned the red communists. We didn't directly mention China. They assumed, and then we mentioned China later. But yeah, it's stuff like that, and that's one of the reasons why the all packs we have is Chinese for a bulk of the Fallout mods. I will not change names. I will not, fix things that are already in the Fallout universe to not hurt your feelings. But if you want, I'll get someone to translate it for you. You got no problem with that.
Do you guys have an in-house translator, or is that just like picked up by anyone?
Only for the Chinese pack we have an in-house translator. Anyone else, if you speak any other languages and you want to translate 50 plus mods, hit me up and I'll see if we can do it.
So yeah, just a quick thing in the chat there. So there was going to be a mod called RimDeed, and it was by Chicken Plucker, but it Indeed got wind of that and started sending lawyers his way, and pretty much a cease and desist later, and he's not allowed to post that on Steam anymore. So be careful what you post on Steam for mods, I guess, because Indeed's watching.
Yeah, no, that was something, man. Can you imagine? The best part was, I believe, if he just went and did a parody, which could be anything from I hate Indeed to screw Indeed, he would have been fine.
But because he went with RimDeed, like it was a copy, that's why they didn't like that. And it's not like he's making money off it either. Like, sure, you have like your donate to Patreon or whatever on your mod pages, but that's about it. It's not like you're taking commissions for that mod.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff, and I get asked quite a few times a week if I'm scared of Bethesda, and I always say no. Like, I hope I'm not scared of Bethesda. I hope they'd be happy with that. We're sending so much time, effort, and money into recreating a universe that they made, right? Like, I can tell you right now, not a cent of any donation that has been sent in has gone to my wallet whatsoever. I mean, like I said, I've already paid, more than what's been donated. I've already matched and then exceeded by a couple $100s. So I don't plan on any of that. Like if Bethesda wants to come at us, I really hope they enjoy their universe as much as we do.
Yeah, that'd be kind of a crap thing to do, right? Because like based on their universe,
They're
you're
known,
bringing more people to play their game.
yeah, they're known for modding, so I really do hope they enjoy it. And I did give them credit and everything, although I can't spell very well, so I really hope I spelled it correctly.
Yeah, they come in and want to put a paywall behind all your mods
Yeah.
with 75% going to them. That'd be the worst.
Imagine.
So to kind of move the topic along here, I have a question about your wasteland mod, the one that kind of like adds the different biomes. Is there any plans to like further that along, or what are you thinking with that one? Because I think that's by someone else, or is it part of the FCP project?
So there are certain mods. I guess we can kind of link into this a little bit. The Fallout collaboration is just that. It's a collaboration. I do decide what gets sent into our core, and most of it is things that, I either make or commission or tell someone to make. There are a few things that don't, but I will still have in the FCP home, and we'll give the FCP brandage because we are all about Fallout. The Wasteland mod is one of those, as well as handy things for your vault. You'll notice that there's a couple different Vault Tech mods. We may use some of the same suits because they did share assets because they were, there was a good quality difference in the assets, and I wanted that mod author to feel like they had good art with them as well, so I shared some stuff out of good faith. But those things, one of them is released by me but made by someone else, and I do plan on overhaul quite a bit, and that's the Wasteland one that you talked about. There are some things that are broken. There are some things that need fixing. There are, some things that could probably be done a little bit better. And I can't stress this enough. I'm only touching that mod code-wise. I'm not going to do, anything texture-wise to that mod. What's out and what's there is there.
Are you referring to the Wasteland mod in that?
Yep, to the Wasteland mod. What's there is there, unless the original author or the modder who made it wanted me to release it. So the Wasteland mod made by Twink will, everything that's in it will stay the same unless the original author wants to add more to it.
Another question here. With Combat Extended, will that be compatible with the Fallout collaboration project?
So with Combat Extended now being in two different groups, one of the original Combat Extended team and the new one with Kareem, Luis, and a few others making Vanilla Combat Overhaul, we're most likely going to swap over to Vanilla Combat Overhaul, which means we're going to have attachments for every single gun, more recoil, diverse lasers, length for pole arms, etc., and all of that fun stuff.
What was the reasoning behind Combat Extended splitting up?
There was some internal issues about some touchy subjects, and just how the mod was managed as a whole was not as good as a lot of other people envisioned.
So they basically just split up because they both had different ideas of what they wanted to do and wanted to pursue it their own ways.
Yeah, there were some just personal ideas of how we should pursue things, and then also mod ideas of how we should pursue things, and the mismanagement of those ideas.
With the Combat Extended, are they already split? Like, are they working on it right now? Is it out, or is
yep, they're already
coming soon?
Yeah, they're already split right now. If you know Kareem, the person who made RocketMan, he also does a lot of the Combat Extended code. He's already split, and he's taken attachments and such with him as well. So that attachment code, more diverse recoil and all sorts of fun stuff like that will also go with him.
That's awesome. I know a lot of people use Combat Extended. I'll be excited to know that it is compatible because you see on every single mod page, hey, it's CE compatible, and happens quite a bit.
Yeah, it may take some time, but it should definitely get integrated with that one pretty fast, knowing that, Kareem and I talk quite a bit.
The FCP patch that's on the Steam Workshop right now, is that for the old, I guess the original Combat Extended?
Yes, and it's most likely out of date as of right now.
So Rick, what's a day-to-day in the life of Rick look like? Like, I know you're a pretty busy guy. You have 2 jobs. You also work on the Fallout collaboration project, amongst other things. Can you just kind of give a brief description, like how much you're doing in a day?
Yeah, it's always fun. Like non-modding, I can tell you yesterday or the day before, I just did an 18-hour day for work. That was just one job, and then I had to get on the computer for a little bit after that one, wake up and go to work the next morning. Um, and then you have stuff like today where, myself and Fi are actively searching new artists and interviewing new artists for these teams. We just got a new artist on for the FCP, so we have stuff like that. It's a lot of, you wouldn't think there's so much networking needed in modding, but there's networking, and then on any given day I could be doing art, XML, coding, descriptions, or just advertisement for any one of my mods.
So other than the FCP, what other projects do you have?
Currently, we have 4 other major projects, and I think about 6 minor ones. The major ones are what I'll go over. That's the Elder Scrolls Collaboration Project, which is the Moral Rim, Oblivion Rim, Skyrim, and ESCP teams. Fellowship of the Rim, which is a continuation of Lord of the Rims and a full overhaul and redo of what they've done, as well as Dragon Age Rimquisition and Rimdune.
So your DMs must just be like lit all the time with people messaging you about all those mods, social networking there, and you just sound like a very busy guy.
Yeah, it's always fun, and I'm always down for people to DM me. I will never have my DMs closed or anything. I'm not that kind of person who wants to ignore people or not see them. Like I might miss your message, but I will almost always try to respond to them. Same thing with Steam and Discord. I will always try to be there and respond to them, because that's the only way we get criticism back or feedback. What do we like? What do we not like?
Yeah, and you said one of your jobs might be coming to a close here by the end of the year, so you'll kind of have more time for FCP, but also going to have less time in the way that you're going to kind of step back in a little bit, just so that you have more free time for you and your family.
Yeah, so that was supposed to be happening now, just for the holidays a little bit. So I did say I was going to stop working on the FCP 7 days a week and move down to 4. I have officially started that as of yesterday. It would be my first week without doing something every single day for the FCP, and I am spending a bit more time with family as we have more and more work coming in. I'm spending less time on Discord and on coding and writing and art. But coming up after the 27th, I will officially be leaving the job that is holding up so much of my time and going to get a better job that will hopefully give me more time to work on these mods. There will be a brief week in January, in the beginning of the year, that I will be gone almost completely to the modding scene, other than just communicating on Discord. But then I should be back and working every day back on the FCP. Anyone who has commissioned art from Dan, who's done some armors. So I can work on that at any time. The FCP, I do set aside time every day, about an hour and a half before I go to bed. And what that is for the FCP in particular is XML, which we do tons and tons of XML every day. If there's art that's needed, I'll try to do art. I typically don't do art in the FCP myself. I try to hold it to the highest professional standard, and I don't believe my art hits that. So I do try to outsource that as much as possible. And then writing descriptions, backstories, and planning, right? The FCP is massive at this point. We need planning. Right now it's ideology planning and how to implement some new fun C# we have. That I think will be a game changer and should be a new kind of framework, but I'm hoping it'll work how we want it. And then playtesting. I try to playtest every FCP mod myself for a good amount of time. That keeps me, as a modder, playing the game, because the worst thing you want to do is fall out of love with the game that you're modding for.
Oh, 100%.
And I don't want to do that and just abandon all of this work I've done, so I want to keep playing it and seeing what's new. I can tell you right now, ideology is kicking my butt.
So, on the topic of ideology, when it got updated to 1.3, RimWorld that is, Can you elaborate on a little bit of the troubles you guys had?
Hi, I'm Rick, and I run the FCP, and 1.3 broke every piece of C# and Z levels possible. It set back Z levels just to update 20 hours, and that was when I just started to update Z levels. The good thing about the main part of the FCP was I only released teasers, which means the only thing that got broken were the factions I had already created, which we had to just throw away and start from scratch because ideology as well. And yeah, 1.3, the biggest thing was Z levels, right? Like it completely halted and threw it to a stop. We had big plans for vaults not too long in the future. We had worked with another modder named Nola, who was making an adventure kind of themed mod about vaults and had made already a hacking program, so you could go up to a computer terminal and hack into it just like you can in Fallout. And you'll play that little mini game and all that. It broke his mod completely.
Oh no.
It's broke a lot of stuff.
I think the biggest thing as like a video editor for me was the fact that you couldn't zoom in without it being blurry anymore.
God,
I'm
that
really happy that one mod came out that fixed that. Like,
yeah, that one was a bummer because we had just released the Children of Adam, which may be one of my favorite apparel sets ever. And it ripped off, I'm sure you can still see it, but in the Inquisitor's cowl, it's too tall for the pawn now. So it cuts off the very tip of the hat.
so what'd you have to do to work around that?
As of right now, you either play with vanilla framework or you just have a cutoff, hat. There's no, thanks to our Lord and Savior, Tynan, there's no workaround for that at the moment, other than using vanilla framework, or we could try to make it ourselves, but they've already done such a good job. There's no point in trying to remake the framework, at least.
Yeah, it kind of sucks when it lowers that cap and you don't have your point on your hat anymore. Did it mess up anything else, or was it just like the cowl?
When it first came out, they were heart attacks because we couldn't figure out how to get larger pawns, which meant no super mutants and no super mutant behemoths. So that caused a bit of a panic, which is why we've waited so long for behemoths, because I completely converted assets at that point. I said, stop working on this. We're not doing it right now. We're going to find a better way to do it later. And I think we started finishing work on laser weapons and the Enclave instead.
So is that what that one mod does, that oversized pawn mod? Is that kind of fix that behemoth problem?
The oversized, so I believe the problem was fixed already within vanilla. They had done an update and fixed it. I think finding where it was also a problem because they had changed some of the structures, but it should be good now by itself in vanilla.
And some people were probably wondering, when are you planning on releasing that, or is it already released?
The super mutants?
No, the bigger guys. It's on the top of my head, but I can't think what they're called.
The behemoths and stuff. So that will be with the super mutants. So that pack will have super mutants from both Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, as well as behemoths and nightkin, as well as centaurs and mutant hounds. It will also have the FEV and a way to make mutants, which I have been against from the beginning, but I've been swayed by someone else to be able to give the player the ability to make mutants as a non-mutant faction. Which means bad things in the future, but hopefully good things. And we're going to kind of see what happens. Right now I'm just waiting on two pieces of art. One of the artists had some real-world issues going into it, and since they were so close to finishing, I thought I'd give them a little break. And it gives our coder Taryn a chance to work on his other commissions real quick before I bog him down with about a month solid worth of FCP work.
So speaking of breaks, you kind of mentioned in the Fallout server that you were going to be stepping back a little bit, but not too much. Like, we're glad to have you on it, man. Like, it's awesome having someone that's so dedicated. Will we be seeing a little bit more from you in January from the FCP? Like, is that kind of when things get better? Like, more available for you in life?
Yeah, so I should have stepped down already. I actually have still been on the FCP every day and still working on it. I'm sure my lovely wife is thrilled that I keep working on this mod after doing 10 hours of one job and then going 5 hours to the job and then being on here for an hour and, you know, doing fun stuff. But yeah, ideally in January, there's a few things I have to go to. So like I'll be flying around for a good bit of January, and then I'll be coming back home and basically getting straight to work. I will be working from home, and ideally that shouldn't take up my whole day, and I should be able to focus on a lot of this as well. And by stepping down or stepping back, I really only mean that I'd be not working on it, 7 days a week, like I still am, but working on it 4 or 5.
So basically making a little bit more time for yourself is what you're saying.
Yeah,
So you've
giving
dedicated so much
myself a
time
few
to it.
hours. Yeah, that's it. Or even like giving myself a minute to catch my breath and, start studying how some of this stuff works. Because I've been doing nonstop, XML and art for the FCP that I don't know what all ideology does, honestly. I don't know how to implement it, which is why we haven't seen factions.
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
how we're going to do that.
I had a question about, like, how in the game when you like level up, you can collect a skill like lock picking and stuff like that. Is that already implemented, or is that kind of something you want to use with ideology?
It was something mentioned actually for royalty. The leveling up thing we could consider close to ranks. I don't believe there's a hard limit on how many ranks we can set as a faction, and I think we were going to raise that to the moon and attempt to do it that way. I think that's been cut. We also had a special system that was cut, which would give you the special perks like that. Now, I may bring back the special system because I'm not the one who cut it, and I kind of like that idea. So we may see some of that in the future if we can get it to work.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting to see. How hard would that be to implement? Like, is that something that takes a lot of coding?
It yes and no. How hard it is to implement is one thing. How hard it is to code is another. RimWorld doesn't like it when you touch some aspects of it. Special cuts all of the jobs for pawns, so like farming, fishing, all of that, shooting, all of that, and puts it into one of these special categories. And it does not like the removal of things. It's fine with additions. It doesn't like removal so much.
So is that something that's going to be coming down the road then? Kind of, it's not like a priority right now. It's more just like a after feature to say.
Yeah, so with this, it's going to be a feature that's not so much priority. Priorities come and go with this being such a small team now. I'm able to, switch between any projects I do while we're waiting to restructure things. And having the special system kind of take front and center right now when it's not necessary isn't something I want. What's necessary right now is still filling out the missing items we have from Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, what we want for a .5 core. With those assets missing, there's lots of other things I'd rather be spending, time, money, resources on, and not having to, watch over all the C# and all the core that needs, functioning before we even have all the assets ready.
And just so everyone knows, if you have any questions, now's the time to ask. We have a channel above this one that says questions for Rick. One of them, when are you going to be implementing the big sexy handyman?
Big
Might have read that
sexy
wrong.
handyman. Where on earth did you see that?
Oh, sorry, big sexy yes man.
Robots. If we're talking about pawns, a robot framework is in the works. That sounded weird. Vanilla Expanded Mechanoids also released an update, which we may use as a framework. I don't know yet. I really want to keep it within the FCP team, so I'll probably make our own framework based off of Fallout stuff. I can tell you Big Sexy Yes Man is not done yet and still needs to be redone in the current style, but I did make a storyteller art for a Big Sexy Yes Man quite a while ago, and FCP storytellers may be more current into the future than anything else.
Ooh, so maybe soon?
Maybe soon, hopefully.
I have another question for you. Someone's asking what your specific beverages that you'd like to promote while you are hard at work on your RimWorld mods.
A specific beverage that I'd like to promote. So, for those of you who don't know, I fucking love Kool-Aid. I'll be honest, red Kool-Aid, the best ever. Just amazing. Also, Nuka Cola is quite fine. I do have a case of that right next to me at all times.
Speaking of beverages, when will we see Nuka Cola implemented? Like
Um,
the vending machines and stuff like that.
so that art is done. There is quite a bit more art for Nuka Cola items that is done. The Nuka Cola itself is done in 12 different flavors. Now, do I release a Nuka Cola mod with just the Nuka Cola and some of the flavors, or would I go and do a complete Nuka World mod? My thought
Ooh.
is doing a complete Nuka World and then doing a simple Nuka Cola. So Nuka Cola, just the one cola by itself, and maybe Quartz and Victory, or like a Quartz Quantum and Victory, just those four, and then a complete Nuka World that adds, grape, cherry, wild, dark, all the other ones, and the little mixers, because they're all different heads, so they will all do something different in game.
So kind of like a stat boost, similar to like the armor.
Yep, similar to that and similar to addictions. So just kind of like how beer has certain stat boosts and mood boosts, it'll also give you mood boosts and debuffs. And you can also get addicted to caffeine.
Addicted to caffeine. I'm just looking at your Nuka World assets here, and they are beautiful. Like, wow. I'm excited for this to come out.
Those are fun. I see Winterwolf asked a question. Just want to know about the plan for T45. Hopefully is on the way. Just finished all of the paint schemes for it, so I literally just I have to do the XML for like 30 armors for that. So I just got to do the XML. Basically, don't be lazy. And you can just DM me, jab me about it every once in a while. I'll put together a list and like a little art showcase of all the T45 if you want, and I can show you at least a little teaser of what's to come. And Argon, to stay cool on managing that much things, basically don't let, anything else rule you, right? Like, I will continue to do my mods whether people like them or don't. I will continue to do how I feel they should be, even if someone says they shouldn't. I mean, that's how I came into the FCP was I told them I'm either going to release mods with you or I'm going to release mods, right? I'm not doing it for you. I'm not doing it for viewers. I'm doing it because I genuinely like to do it and want to play with it. We do things, it's inherently selfish, right, that I'm doing this because I want to see it done, but, I want to do it for the community now, but I don't want to be bossed into doing it. It will be done, and it's going to be done the best possible way I see fit, which is why some things take longer than others. Some things get precedence. Right now, the FCP is getting a lot of code done, which means you're going to see a lot of art in the Elder Scrolls and the Dragon Age and Lord of the Rings mods, because we're sorting through everything, individually. If one project's getting a lot of love somewhere, that means the other half of the love is going to the other projects.
And it's nice to have someone that is very passionate about it too. Like, you're not going to see this dead in a year. Like, it's going to be something that's going to continue on.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, I've been nonstop with that. That's the only critique I have for the original team, was that they got burnt out fast. I don't think I've gone more than 3 days without loading up RimWorld and testing them out. And shoot, it's almost been 10 months since I've been doing this here. And Trash, my favorite shoe brand, you're not going to believe this. I don't even think I believe it, but it's Levi. They're just comfortable.
Oh.
I have to stand for 12 hours a day. They're just comfortable. They don't let me sit.
I'm just waiting for his reply here. Oh yeah, there we go. Non-slip fans. I agree.
Sound like a no-slip fan person. Gosh. But yeah, no, like I do very much, like this project and this community, and I've made a few servers to enhance the community. Like Titty Ricks is ideally a place that here in the future we're gonna have, a little game night where you will be able to win things. I can tell you a little secret is I'm putting up Titty Rick's YouTube and Discord, not Discord, Reddit, and merch websites. So there's the Titty Rick's website in the works. Which, if you don't know what Titty Rick's is, it's a mixture of Titty McSwaggy or TMC, another RimWorld modder, me, Rick, and the S is just Steve because we forgot about him and threw his name on at the very end.
S.
Yeah, S. So there will be, game nights where you can get free merch, and does that mean you get a Titty Rex hoodie if you guess the right, musician who played this game? Sure. There's an economy system being set up within the Discord, which means you can get free art from a bunch of different community members. We have Lala, we have myself, Thog, Shakes the Spear. I think Trash Panda's in there somewhere. There's TMC does art. Steve will do art and code. So we have like actual prizes. If you want a full mod done and don't have any money, whenever we set all this up, for good, jump into Titty Ricks and you might be able to win yourself a full mod.
I know we talked about this privately, but is there any RimWorld things for Titty Ricks?
Titty Ricks is yeah. So it's all ideally based on RimWorld. I don't think there's any non-RimWorld things in there as of yet.
Sorry, I should have specified. I meant apparel.
Yes. Eventually, I'll have to get back to you on that one though. But there will be some things coming out real soon.
Nice. So back to the burnout. How do you, so are you doing FCP stuff all the time, or like are you bouncing between your different like projects, or like how are you staying so that you're not burning out like the original core group did?
I bounce around a lot. That's just because my brain can't handle just sitting in one place, but I still do FCP, particularly FCP, every single night. And like I said, that can be anything from XML to writing to art, or just trying to find new team members. We actually have a sound composer who I got to join us the other day after talking to him for a few days. What does that mean? That means custom, professional composed music for the different aspects of RimWorld, right? Of all of that. So
do you want to kind of let the cat out of the bag on who you've been contacting for some of the audio that you're planning on doing in RimWorld, specifically for the radio?
Yeah, so there's a few things I've wanted to do, and that is get some voice actors. And I've been talking to a few people. If you've heard of Colin Moriarty, the voice actor behind him, I plan on getting a few voice scripts from him for a little radio thing. And then if you've played Fallout 4, everyone loves Radio Freedom, of course. The voice actor who does that, and Gob the Ghoul, stuff like that. So a few different people I've gotten in contact with, and we're hoping to kind of set the stage with that here pretty soon.
Chat's blowing up right now.
Oh, is it?
I think they're pretty excited about that.
So yeah, we got that, but yeah, the voice actors from that. So Colin Moriarty is one of my favorite voice actors. Penumbra and I, which is my main writer, we've actually written a War Never Changes script for them to do. Yeah, hopefully we can get them done here in a few months. They'll be free and I'll be free, and we can go over some stuff with Colin Moriarty, with Gob the Ghoul, with the Radio Freedom announcer, and who knows? I've been trying to get in contact with Nate from Fallout 4 and Preston. I know everyone loves Preston.
So just clarify here, these people you've already contacted, or like you're planning to contact?
All of those minus Nate and Preston, I've already contacted.
So it's kind of in the works right now.
Yeah, we got to figure out a day to kind of talk together and figure out what we're gonna do. Costs for, so once you start getting into this, it's called a campaign, which is going to be not an ad campaign, but almost like a composition campaign, right? So we need the actor to do a campaign for us, which is reading off a script at home And I just got to figure out, how much time, how much money, what direction we need to do that. Because at that point, we're directing them. Instead of making just a mod, we have to now direct these people.
And so is this kind of looking like January, maybe, like depending on both of you guys' schedules?
Depending on schedule and budget, I'm hoping February. Everything is subject to change, of course, but I am hoping mid to late February as maybe a little Valentine's Day present.
Ooh. And yeah, just to reiterate on what Rick just said, everything that we talked about tonight, guys, is subject to change. Like, it's not set in stone. So if Rick says something here, it might be changed by next week, next month. So just do note that it's not a permanent thing and it could change. So don't be bothering him being like, hey, you said this. That's just a forewarning near the end of the podcast.
That's good. Thank you for that. Saving my butt.
I'll do an intro and I'll put that at the front too, just so we're covered on both ends. So if people don't watch all the way through, they will know. We have a question about if you have dementia or not.
All right, I know that's clever. So, all right. I don't have dementia, but I can tell you I've forgotten some things. One of the things I have not forgotten was that if you ever hire Cleverix, he's going to call you a nerd inside of one of his videos, and he's going to put it on a 1% white opacity on a black background. So just be careful for it.
I'm excited for when that video releases. I've seen it. It is funny. Very good video, though. Very good. I liked it. I've seen it, Cleverix. It's a good video. And I definitely paused at the 52-second mark. Hint, hint for anyone that watches it in the future.
Gosh.
So before we close, I do have a personal question for you. The currency system, what is your plan with, like, caps? Is that going to replace anything in the game, or, like, what's your idea with that?
So, turns out I do have dementia because that's already been finished and put in our core, and it's been there for like 3 weeks, and I didn't realize. So, caps will be replacing silver. Silver will now be only a resource. No longer will it be a currency. It's just there for you to build things out of. Caps are the new main currency. Now, ideally, this will be a framework that you can make currency for multiple factions. Right now, the proof of concept, the NCR has its own currency system using the NCR dollars that is worth more in the NCR and less elsewhere. The Legion has Legion deniers that is worth more in the Legion and less elsewhere. And the New Vegas Strip has Lucky 38 casino chips that is, of course, worth more in the Strip and less elsewhere. What does this mean is currency will be harder to come by, as it should be, but also depending on your currency type and who your allegiances are with, you can get more bang for your buck depending on what currencies you have.
And you said it's been implemented for about 3 weeks now. We just didn't see it.
Yeah, I need to start checking, all of my commissions and waiting for, correct things to pop in. I haven't even I thought it was still in production. I didn't know it was finished that fast. So I'm going to actually have to load it up tomorrow and playtest it.
So out of all the stuff you have out on the Steam Workshop as of right now, if you can if you can remember what is on the Steam Workshop and what is not, what is your favorite mod of your own stuff?
Of my own stuff.
Like FCP branded.
I know it's going to be... I know what it is, and I'm sure it's what people don't want to hear or wouldn't guess. My favorite mod is actually one of the very first ones, which is the Desert Rangers, which isn't even going to be a part of the FCP core. But the Desert Ranger mod that TMC and I worked on together is probably one of my favorite ones, just because we sat down and designed all of that stuff. Like, a lot of that came from just our brains. So a Yao Guai poncho was something I thought was funny, and that we should just sent in a lot of effort on. We had Cleverix do he wanted to do a trailer, and that was one of my favorite parts, was that one. Just being able to work that closely with another artist and modder and come up with original ideas that just led to a pretty good, friendship, clearly, with us creating Titty Ricks after. That's probably going to be my favorite one. This was probably the first one.
That's awesome. Just to kind of talk about the creative side a little bit more, What's your guys' plan with, like, I know you guys got a couple videos from Cleverix, a couple from me. Like, what's your plan with that going forward? Like, the YouTube side of things, the video side, like getting stuff out there in a video format.
We do have a YouTube channel with nothing on it right now called it's very original name called FCP Rick. You know, it's wonderful. It will eventually have a playthrough for that, just for playtesting. I say playtesting. I take my playtesting very, very seriously for playtesting the mods and playing as far as we can until something breaks or until something cooler comes. So I do hope to have that out here pretty soon with the help of my mortal enemy Cleverix and hopefully you, like how to set things up. Both of y'all's channels have just decided to start kicking dirt in people's eyes and just becoming the greatest thing ever immediately. How fast y'all have risen.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, I came back on, I think it was November 12th, because Cleverix was like, yo, life get in the way, where you at? I just seen you haven't uploaded recently. And I was like, you know what? I want to start uploading again. And I think we jumped from 43 subscribers when I left. We are now at 523. So, and we've been kicking off with some Fallout videos. If you guys haven't seen those yet, I will link them below for after the podcast. But yeah, both me and Cleverix are trying to get the FCP project out there a little bit more, and we're starting to get a little bit more. Like me, I only have 2 videos. One of them kind of sucks. One of them's probably one of my best videos, but we're gonna try and get a lot more out there for you guys.
Yeah, and I honestly, can't say thank you enough. Like I know just how much pain Cleverix goes through. He makes it brutally honest and aware that he goes through pain to make his FCP videos just as good as they are. And it irks me at how good they are because of, how terrible he is. No. Yeah, no, I mean the amount of effort y'all put into these is fantastic. And for someone like me who, I used to advertise the FCP daily, I don't do it as much anymore. So if y'all didn't know, I used to advertise with the FCP playing cards daily. I don't do that too much anymore, and I don't make new playing cards on the fly on the day. But I do love these little videos and doing stuff like this. And if you'd like to use assets in a video, please hit me up. I own probably 98% of the FCP assets at this point, art assets that is. So if you want anything, feel free to ask, and they're most likely yours.
It was funny. For those who don't know, I needed Benny for a video, so I expedited it by sending Rick $5 through coffee. Apparently, it was already made.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I think I had already. It was on the list already to pay for. So I think you helped me out with a third of it, which was pretty nice because that was one of the cheaper ones. Because I had mentioned it was going into a YouTube video, he charged me a little, but it was already being made and exported. So thanks to you, we got half the price off because you donated a little bit, and because I said it was going to a YouTube video to support us, we got another little chunk off.
Nice. So I'm just scrolling through your Steam page here. There's quite a bit. So for those that are listening and those that will be listening on the YouTube, how can someone go to support the project? Like, where can they find the links? Where can they go to donate? Like, what's the best place to donate?
The best place to donate for me right now is if you see any of the Rick Ko-fis, right? Patreon used to be there. Ko-fi has the same thing as Patreon now, where you can become a member. And it takes less of a percentage for users. But yeah, if you want to support the FCP and a bulk of, commissioning art and all that, feel free to go to my Ko-fi. You can also help, our artist out, Icing, if you like what he's done and you just want to throw, a buck or two at him just as a thank you, you can do that because he is still in school. I can tell you 100% of the funds you send to the Rick Ko-fi goes straight to the FCP treasury, which means it's spent on more textures and more C# to create the wonderful wasteland that we all know and love and want to see recreated.
So speaking of the FCP treasury, how are we looking at that right now? Are we low? Or are we high?
For this fiscal year, I just spent the last of it and put forward some of my own. So as of right now, the FCP treasury going into the new year, because I don't have anything planned to release right now, so I don't expect an influx of anything. But as of right now, we're at 0. Not negative, not positive, just
Sorry, I think you got cut off there. Just 0, eh?
Yeah, just 0.
So for those listening on Discord or even YouTube when this gets uploaded, if you really like the project, if you can and are willing to, maybe consider donating to it, help get some more things out there, because we already know the track record of it. It's not something that's only going to be here for a couple months and go away. Like, we got a good track record. We're going to continue to throw out more mods, and definitely the funds help make that go faster. I sound like a walking advertisement. I was trying to say that the best way possible.
No, that's good. And we actually have a few, donators here. Peerless here donates quite regularly, and I can say if you are a donator and you want to see what's happening, I will be better. I have to make a donator channel and kind of show you what we're making, at least what we're getting, like, right, give you an inside peek. I like keeping it a little bit of a secret because, like, I'm sure showing you, at least there's probably a lot in there that you didn't know we had done already. At least
100%.
Yeah. But if you have questions, like if you want to know, hey, is this done? Or hey, can we do this? I'll probably come back at you and say, it's already done. Just here's a picture and stuff like that.
Sorry, speaking of the pictures, this kind of remind me of a conversation we had before. Sharing the assets with people, can you just kind of explain kind of something that happened to you with it being uploaded to Steam, like behind your back?
We had someone decided to re-upload my assets in 2 people actually in preview images, and these weren't assets that were made by others, because we have had that option, which was someone uploaded all of the FCP assets into one thing, just renamed everything and slightly erased outlines and called it their own, and had a blatant translation in Chinese that said, "I stole all this, haha, won't ever catch me." The other ones are just taking assets and putting them in their preview images or all of that without crediting, the creators, which does kind of suck as well.
Did you guys manage to get that taken down, or is that still up?
Yeah, no, the one who said I stole all this, haha, he's gone. I believe they're actually all taken down now, but definitely the one who said just blatantly, "I stole all of this, haha, you'll never catch me, I'm Chinese." That one was taken down. We have a very loving relationship with our Chinese community here at the FCP.
Yeah, speaking of Red Scare, but
No.
how did you get that taken down? Like, how did you prove it was yours? Like,
we just submitted a request to Steam. There's actually a few Discord members who are Steam moderators as well, and we just submitted a request both to them and to Steam itself with a list of, what is mine, why is it mine, here's the original, here's what they did. So they would erase one inner outline and do connect something and call it theirs. Or on a gun, they'd take off a suppressor and say it was theirs.
Rick only added the suppressor.
Yeah, it's not how that works, but yeah, stuff like that.
So yeah, guys, thank you all for listening. If you want to support Rick, definitely check out those channels he mentioned. He mentioned his coffee and his Patreon. For both of those, is there any Discord roles you can get?
I believe for the coffee, you get sent to Titty Rick's, and you get a little, I think it's a Poggers roll. But as far as roles in the FCP, you get donator rolls. Basically, you get a big old bright red flashing roll in every mod that I'm doing. So if I have, right now I have 5 Discord mods that I'm working on things, and you'll get that donator roll, which that donator roll will unlock a special channel here very soon, hopefully by end of month, which will have previews, everything that's being worked on. I just have to cut up the previews so they're not individual sprites, but they're on a sheet that can be viewed.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
Win Spriggans. God, some of these people they like the Elder Scrolls a bit too much.
Maybe we'll have to do a specific podcast on that as well.
We got a stupid sexy death clause. That's another one of those things that I did not make, and my name is nowhere on it, yet I get all the flag for that.
What's your opinion on Simple Warrants, and is it the greatest mod on the workshop?
If Simple Warrants added a feature that we could add in Fallout, like maybe cutting off someone's ear or finger, I think it would be one of the greatest mod collaborations ever. But since the mod author on that is he's not farsighted enough to see the value of it, I think that it just won't, go the distance that much.
It's pretty sad that he's going to get free publicity. at the end of this the video.
I mean, I believe that, if I'd love to work with them some more, and I think the coder behind it did amazing. The guy who commissioned it, you know, I think he lacks some insight into how things should be done.
So for the people that are listening right now, could you give a little hint on what's coming soon?
Yeah, hopefully soon. I'm gonna say hopefully all of the power armors from Fallout 4. That is something that is on the docket real soon. Super mutants should be, also next on our big coding brick. We have I think we actually have all the assets for super mutants done, other than, like I said, those little FEV things and how we want to implement that. Fallout Chems, hopefully by end of January, we'll have that out. Fallout Animals right now is being reworked to fit better with some of the style and to add more animals. We only have about 20 right now. I would like there to be at least 30 by the time we release it. And then some furniture packs and clothing packs. I have 3 clothing packs and 2 furniture packs that are done and just need some final tweaking and some things added to them to be put on. And then, rebalancing, rebranding, and remaking parts of a mod known as RadWorld is also taking a lot of time right now.
I think that's the one I was asking about earlier was RadWorld, what your plan on was with continuing on with that.
That one instead of the Wasteland one. RadWorld is going to be it's a big bull to kind of take by the horns, and the creator of that gave me permission to incorporate it within the FCP. I love the radiation system. Of course, for use within the FCP, it's going to be toned down, right? But I love the idea behind it and the radiation system behind it and how it all works. There are some major issues though, and we do have a team of people who want to add on to it, and there's already been a RadWorld expanded Discord that I've been invited to. So ideally we'll be able to kind of work together. It's another one led by Louise as well, or Luis, one of the main CE or now vanilla combat overhaul artists.
That's awesome. Kind of 2 more small questions and then a big question from Perilous. I have a question about Wasteland Apparel. Is that kind of what you were just talking about? Is that like coming soon?
Yeah, that's one of the ones that will be coming real soon.
And then fauna, like plants and stuff, is that coming as well, or is that kind of in the future?
A good portion of it's already been released with Fallout plants, and it will just be added on to that. So right now we have a good portion of Fallout plants from Fallout New Vegas. We're going to be adding onto it real soon from plants of Fallout 3, the rest of Fallout New Vegas, and then Fallout 4 is going to have a major plant.
When is the first core mod going to be released?
That's got to be Peerless. I don't give ETAs on that. The last time I gave an ETA, I was unfortunately misinformed, and I was told 2 months. It has been 8 months since then. There's with updates, it's unpredictable. With me being one of the only, person out, I think there's 4 active, non-commissioned people making the FCP right now. It's me leading it and doing all the XML. We have Icing doing a good amount of art. We have Penumbra doing writing, and then we have Chismar, who's currently on a little vacation to rest his mind, who made Red Scare and made the basis for what our factions will be like, using the royalty ranking system and all that. So with an ETA, there's I don't want to give a date where we're about 75% of the way there for a Fallout New Vegas Fallout 3 overhaul.
Okay.
So we're about 75% of the way art-wise, right, and XML-wise. XML, I can do, I can make a few mods in my sleep if it's just, apparel and adding in weapons and all that. We can do that easy now, like a couple hundred a day. It's how do we want factions to be implemented? I will, if we're going hard on ideology, how do we want the ideologies to be implemented, and can we get them implemented properly is the problem. And then, of course, the overhaul aspect, which shouldn't be too hard.
So a question from Odds. What's the most excited thing to do in the Fallout mod? Oh, sorry. What's the thing you are most excited to do in the Fallout mod? And it can be anything. It can be factions and armor sets, etc.
Ooh, the thing I'm most excited about. It's it's gonna be a fun one. Is actually the Children of Adam faction and ideology. I love crazy people, and I think the Children of Adam are some of my most favorite crazed people. Um, between the Children of Adam and the Brotherhood of Steel, definitely.
I'm definitely excited for the Brotherhood of Steel too. Just looking at the armor that you sent me, it's beautiful. So in for some final questions to come in here. Here's one. How do you tell what item is something that should be in core and what deserves to be a style? Like, I think basically what he's asking is how do you differentiate what needs to be in core and what you might not want to put in core? If I'm wrong on that question, please correct me.
If we're talking about styles like IDEO, I absolutely hate styles from IDEO, and I probably won't. If we're talking about, what goes into the core and what goes into a mod pack, well, the core is things that are broad spectrum across all of them. So what doesn't change in the core? It's, ghouls don't change. They're the same in every game. They're going to be in the core. What materials will be the same, stuff like that. So if we take the Elder Scrolls core, it's a bit easier to explain. Iron, corundum, orcelium, the Dwemer plate metal, ebony, those are core items that we will maintain within that because they're the same across every game. So every game is going to use them. So every mod will start to use it. If we're talking about like IDEO, if they were set up better with styles, I'd do it right now. I think it's too constricting. I want to build a base that has an embassy for the Children of Adam, for the Brotherhood of Steel, for the Enclave, and say for the Minutemen, like how I do in Fallout 4. I don't want to restrict anything behind a style pack in IDEO and not be able to use it. Now, what am I going to do to eliminate the kind of bulkiness of that in the meantime? I will lock things behind our own custom workbenches. That'll kind of help alleviate some of that pain. Let's see. I see one from Mr. Coco. Will the FCP be compatible with Vanilla Expanded? It should be already. There's nothing I touch that should be incompatible, honestly. And we're going to use the VE framework for a good amount of things since we both Vanilla Expanded and the FCP use the same C# coder, which is Terran Chunk. I don't see a problem with it being that. Now, are they compatible stat-wise? Absolutely not. You can blame me for all the stat decisions in the standalones. In the core overhaul, we have made an algorithm with RimWorld that takes RimWorld stat values and Fallout stat values and combines the two. So we're taking every value from every item in Fallout and the whole universe, putting them under one stat value, which they will all equal to, and then retransmitting that onto RimWorld, so that we'll have actual Fallout stats within RimWorld stats.
Is that something that's going to be part of core, or is that coming out within?
That's part of core. Yeah.
Okay.
So right now, all the standalones are more based towards vanilla or how I think vanilla should be, if that makes sense.
So another question is, he's asking if you can level up.
Partially. So, like we kind of talked about earlier, there was a leveling that didn't work out very well. I do want to look back at that, Peerless, and see if we can do that. Same thing with the special system. That was part of the level up as well.
I'm not sure about Cleverix, but I'll probably be doing more Fallout content come January. I'm kind of focused on, I've got this Great War video that's coming out. It's kind of focusing the World War, the Butcher video, which kind of follows after the Mysterious Stranger. And I also want to get a couple holiday themed videos out. So I'll probably start focusing on Fallout stuff come the new year. I'm not sure what Cleverix has planned, but we should definitely get all three of us on a podcast sometime too and just chat the shit.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
But yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Thank you, Rick, for taking time out of your busy schedule for joining the podcast and being able to talk about the FCP universe and your plans for it and where it's going. I do have a question to wrap this up that was asked at the very start. It was, what needs to be done going forward and how much work is left?
So what needs to be done going forward is creating new ideas, right? So C#, as well as art, right? Because there's a never-endless stream of art that we still need to be done. Like I said, we're about 75% of the way art-wise through Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3. It's not as much as I'd like, but it's not as little as I'd hate. Having that much is if you don't know, that's thousands of sprites. Like I said, just the apparel folder, I couldn't even email to Davicon here. I had to put it into a Google Drive. Like, this mod will be massive. So there's a good amount going forward, right? Like we have eight universes, or not eight universes, eight game genres to cross across an entire continent, and how things should be done with such a minimal team, right? And it's not always good to have a giant team. Having a smaller team is pretty nice because we can control what gets sent, and the quality is so much better. And that's one of the things I do pride myself in my team, and what we commission has been amazing quality so far.
And the last part of that question was how far, how much do you think you have left?
All of
Or is that
Fallout 4, all of Fallout 76, parts of Fallout 1 and 2, quests. But there's a lot left of non-art. I've just create. This mod's going to be around for quite a while. I can tell you that much. There's a lot more to do.
But yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Thank you, Rick, for again taking time out of your day to be here. Like, you're definitely a busy man, and I'm glad you're able to join us.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's always good, and if y'all ever wanna stop by, if I am free, or if I'm even working sometimes, I'm typically in that Titty Rick's Discord, so feel free to throw questions at me anytime.
Awesome, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you all for joining. I hope you all have a good night.